Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. The headlines: suspected terrorist storm St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State, killed dozens of worshippers while injuring several others. High Court in Ondo State sentences 3 persons to death by hanging for killing daughter of a Afenifere leader, Funke Olakunrin. Former Governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, clinches presidential ticket of the All Progressives Congress, the APC. Plus, tight security in Mogadishu as new Somali President Hassan Mohammed is inaugurated. And that's News Round in View. Thank you for joining us. I'm Anne Nwawadu. We begin with devastating news from Owo in Ondo State, where gunmen suspected to be terrorists gruesomely killed over 30 persons at St. Francis Catholic Church, leaving residents of the streets where the church is located in mourning. Although there's some level of calmness around the town, security agents were deployed by the State Police Command to ensure safety of lives and property. Meanwhile, leaders of the Christian Association of Nigeria (CAN) in Owo local government area staged a peaceful protest after a prayer session within the church premises seeking for God's intervention.
It's the day after the shooting at St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State. Residents are out on the streets close to the church, dumbfounded about the horrific events of the previous day. The perpetrators broke the peace of an otherwise peaceful Owo kingdom as the people mourned their dead. No one saw this coming, not even the governor of the state, Rotimi Akeredolu, who cut short his trip to Abuja for the APC convention to visit the scene. He says nothing can compare to the level of this attack.
What you have in America is a child's play to what happens there. From information from the security agencies, these are the most dastardly act that can never happen in any society.
Although there's some level of calm around the town, security has been beefed up in the area to give the people a sense of reassurance of their safety. Meanwhile, leaders of the Christian Association of Nigeria in Owo local government area have been staging a peaceful protest after a prayer session within the church premises seeking for God's intervention.
This incessant attack, most especially to the Church of God, to the Christian body, the peaceful communities in our nation, it should not continue. And we are peace-loving religious group, and because of our disposition, I think they are taking us for granted. We want the international community to come in and wade in before it goes out of hand.
Inside the church, there are telltale signs of the shooting that led to the death of men, women, the elderly, and children.
I heard, I would say, a noise, like loud noise. Within me, I was even thinking maybe somebody fell, maybe, a kind of commotion behind. So it was when I looked from the altar, then I saw from the sanctuary, I saw one of us. And then who could have seen from inside the church? Yes, and so he quickly locked the door. And so from that moment, locking the door, then the message got to me on the sanctuary that unknown gunmen, like armed, they are around.
I was in the church. I just heard a gunshot along the gate. Then I came out. I stood here, and I saw the man came in with face cap, long, like he's taller than me, with gun. The man now shoot gun beside where I did. They don't not come to me. Maybe Christ cover if he didn't see me. I'm looking at him. He now switch another one. I said, what's this foolish man shooting gun here? He repeated another one, and I fall inside. And I locked that. I tell my people, things don't change you. For me to open my eyes through this window here to penetrate, the more I passed the other side. And I enter through the other door. As I enter, I was looking, I was still shooting.
Also commiserating with the Catholic Church is the chief imam of our kingdom, who prays for peace.
How can you imagine somebody dressing properly, they coming to church to worship Almighty Allah, to worship God, and then meet his Waterloo? This is very, very unprecedented. I never expected this. I know one thing for sure. God never sleeps. The perpetrators of this dastard action will be caught. God will expose them.
Preliminary investigation reveals that the assailants approached the church as the service was about to end and began shooting from outside the church, while others, numbering about 4, shot directly into the church. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police has ordered forensic investigation into the attack to ascertain the actual or remote causes and for immediate arrest of the assailants.
In what appears as attempts to unravel the identity of those behind that attack, the National Security Council says the Islamic State of West Africa Province, ISWAP, is responsible for the massacre that led to the death of about 38 persons on June the 5th. Briefing State House correspondents after the council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. The Minister of Interior, Mr. Rauf Aregbesola, disclosed that the police have been directed to apprehend the perpetrators and bring them to justice.
The President presides over yet another national security meeting at the Council chamber 4 days after the attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, in Ondo State. The meeting, which is holding in the Council chamber, is primarily to address the binary issues of terrorist attacks and kidnappings across the country. Arising from the meeting, the Minister of Interior, Mr. Rauf Aregbesola, flanked by the Inspector General of Police, announced that ISWAP has been linked to the Owo attack, which claimed at least 38 lives.
The animals in ISWAP wanting attention and recognition are suspected to have launched that attack, and we have directed all the agencies concerned to go after them and bring them to justice.
The attack is not an ethnocentric or religious war, according to the Interior Minister, who is already visibly emotional.
Let us debunk the erroneous belief that the attack in a war is organization of Nigeria, it's organization of Nigeria, organization of Nigeria. No. Criminals, international criminals, savages who have no religion, who cannot even be said to belong to any particular ethnic nationality, are pitching us against one another. That is what ISWAP represents. That is what, and I said we have seen their imprint in that attack, and we're after them.
Although no arrest has been recorded, the Inspector General of Police assures that investigations have been escalated.
The investigation will in near future maybe tell us what is the true position of that thing, and we are not going to leave it. And there are times they succeed, and that does not mean it is failure of intelligence.
He adds that the police is also reinforcing ahead of the June 18 Ekiti governorship election with over 17,000 men.
Perhaps one cheering news that has emanated from this conference is that 10,000 policemen will be graduating from training next month to join the force. Although the country needs way more than this figure, the IGP is confident that this addition will scale up policing and maintenance of law and order across the country. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
To court stories now. 3 years after her death, justice has been served in favor of late Mrs. Funke Olakunre, daughter of Afenifere leader Chief Reuben Fashiranti, who was murdered on the Benin-Ore-Shagamu Expressway in June 2019. An Ondo State High Court sitting in Akure sentenced 3 persons to death by hanging for her death. The convicts are Walu Abubakar, Mohammed Shehu, and Adamu Adamu. The 3rd suspect was acquitted. Justice William Olamide found the trio guilty of murder, kidnapping, and armed robbery.
The position of the defense was actually deflated by the court, who came to the conclusion that their defense was an afterthought. There was a thorough investigation that spanned through 3 states of the Federation: Edo State, Lagos State, before they were brought to Ondo State, where finally they confessed to the offense of this murder, kidnapping, and armed robbery. They were fixed to the scene of the crime, and cogent evidence were given by persons who were with them in the forest for 7 days. Particularly, the driver of the deceased, who was kidnapped for 7 days, and he identified them not only before the police, he also identified them before the court. That these 3 defendants were the person who were responsible for sporadic shooting along Ore Road, Express Road, that led to the death of Mrs. Olakunrin.
The verdict and the judgment of the court has been delivered in this case. We appreciate the court for the diligence of the court in this case. You also observe that one among the defendants was exonerated by the court from the judgment of the court. In the interim, we're going to take a critical look of the judgment of the court. We're going to diagnose it, look at area where issues can be formulated, issue of appeal can be formulated. We are going to do that.
And now to politics. The deadline for an INEC's voter registration timeline is less than 1 month away, and Nigerian youths appear to not be taking any chances this time. In response, the awareness campaign by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the European Union, the youths turned up en masse at the Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos Island to register for their permanent voter cards.
A total of 30 booths are in place for the voter registration holding at the Tafawa Balewa Square, Lagos. 2 INEC officials man each booth, with about 60 registrants being attended to at a time and an estimated 300 per hour. All aimed at ensuring that more Nigerians, especially the youths, participate in the general elections in 2023.
It's appalling that only 4% of young people turned up in the presidential elections and 3.9% turned up in the governorship elections in 2019. If young people, who constitute the largest bulk of our registered voters, do not see the need to activate the power of their thumb and make their numbers count at elections, then we should be concerned and worried about the future of our democracy.
With 9 tents mounted, the crowd is split into 2 to make the process easier. 4 tents for fresh registrants, while the remaining 5 are for online pre-registration, transfer, update, replacement, and those categorized as priority. For some of the registrants here, although the main registration lasts about 5 minutes, it takes a long time to get to their turn.
It was very hectic, and coming into the podium it's been very difficult. We waited, there are a lot of chaos, so many. The security, they weren't helping issues at all. But as God will have it, at the end, we made it in.
I'm here before 7 o'clock, but now it's too far, to 4. Now I nearly go through because I don't know that I will still do it today. Because you get the time that everybody's rushing, jumping, but thank God, finally, I done my own. So I'm happy now.
A few meters from the crowd, preparations are underway to round off the exercise, which began on Monday, with the Youth Vote Count mega concert on Saturday.
The essence of the Youth Vote Count campaign is to see how we can provide a platform for young people to connect by using pop culture. So who are the people they would listen to? Who are the influencers? Who are the crowd pullers? We hope to have voter education messages where people can also ask questions. We'll have booths here. So people should just please turn up. And of course, the concert is free, but you need your PVC to have access to the concert.
Majority of those who turned up for the exercise are the youth, and the younger demographics seem to be showing their willingness to take their fights from the social media to the polling units by first registering for their PVCs.
Former Governor Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu wins APC presidential ticket. We'll be telling you more in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. Members of the ruling party, which is the All Progressives Congress, the APC, converged on the Eagle Square in Abuja to nominate a presidential candidate ahead of the 2023 general elections. The event drew a huge crowd of party faithful, including leaders, delegates, aspirants, and supporters.
At the Eagle Square, it was a long night of speeches by APC presidential aspirants, 7 of which stepped down officially in support of the former governor of Lagos State, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, before the voting process officially began, with 2,322 elected delegates. Voting started at about 2:30 a.m. with delegates from 35 states and the Federal Capital Territory called out, according to their states, to cast their votes. Delegates from Akwa Ibom State were not allowed to vote because of a court order asking the party not to accredit anyone for the convention. Voting eventually concludes at 8:30 a.m. as party officials unseal each of the 40 ballot boxes to unravel each vote. The officials sort the votes one after the other.
Your Excellencies, we're about to open.
The delegates who had spent the last 24 hours at the Eagle Square continued to sit patiently through the process, and after over 4 hours of intense waiting, counting commences.
Tinubu.
Results for all 14 aspirants voted for are carefully announced. 4 of the aspirants polled 0 votes, while the former governor of Lagos State, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, polled a total of 1,271 votes. The former Minister of Transport came second with a total of 316 votes, while the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, polled 235 votes.
Having scored the highest number of votes cast, is hereby declared winner.
The chairman of the Election Planning Committee, Governor Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State, therefore declares the former governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, winner of the presidential primary and the official flag bearer of the APC for the 2023 presidential elections. An ecstatic crowd surge as the APC presidential candidate steps forward to give his acceptance speech. The latest APC candidate gives a speech of hope for a better country as he declares that the competition is over. The special convention is brought to an end after over 24 hours as President Muhammadu Buhari hands over the party flag to the flag bearer of the APC. With the 2023 elections less than 8 months away, the race for Nigeria's next president now heats up between candidates of the 18 officially registered political parties, particularly that of the ruling All Progressives Congress and the main opposition, the People's Democratic Party. From the Eagle Square, Abuja, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the chairman of Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, Senator Yochia Ayu, is asking all its governorship candidates in the forthcoming general elections to ensure that the party controls 25 states out of the 36 states of the Federation come 2023. Mr. Ayu gave the charge at the presentation of the Certificate of Return to PDP governorship candidates at the party's headquarters in the nation's capital.
governorship candidates of the People's Democratic Party from 30 states of the Federation gather at the party's conference hall to receive their certificate of return from the leadership of the party. The certificate recognizes the recipient as the authentic flag bearer of the PDP in the 2023 general elections.
Chairman, Board of Trustees.
Beyond the recognition, the PDP leadership charges the candidates on the task ahead.
Today we have only 13 governors. And for a political party of this nature, that is not good enough. All of you must therefore work very hard so that at the end of the day, by next year, we should be able to come back to at least 25 governors.
The processes which have made you to emerge are now history. What is before us is a task that we must all unite and achieve for this party and for Nigerians.
One after the other, all 30 governorship candidates file out to receive their certificates, assuring the party of reconciliation and commitment for victory in 2023.
We assure you there will be synergy, there will be cooperation to make sure that our party emerge victorious at the various state levels.
It is now a duty unto all concerned to go forward and do reconciliation. And I can assure you, we have even embarked on that duty.
With the mandate to represent the PDP given, what do the candidates have to offer?
We want to make local government functional. We want to make local government have their funds. If you spend 100 million in every local government every month, there will be no poverty. We are going to consolidate on agriculture and mechanize farming in Benue.
There's no moral justification for our people to be dislocated from their ancestral homes, and we would ensure to do everything, put everything in place to ensure that people go back to their ancestral homes.
The PDP is currently in control of 13 out of the 36 states of the Federation, and the party is hoping to win more states in 2023.
And we end news round in Somalia, where President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud was inaugurated as the 10th president of the country in a colorful ceremony on Thursday. Ahead of that inauguration, main roads in the capital, Mogadishu, were closed with police deployed in large numbers and armored vehicles on the streets leading to the presidential palace. After the ceremony, the new president is expected to name a prime minister who will form a new government.
The inauguration ceremony for Somalia's 10th president took place in the Ade International Airport area of the capital, Mogadishu.
Thank you very much.
The event was attended by various regional leaders and representatives of the country's international partners. President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud covered various topics, including peace and reconciliation efforts in Somalia, with the latter involving efforts to ensure respect for people's rights, good relations with Somalia's federal member states, a democratic system of governance, and a just and fair judicial system. On the regional and global front, President Mohamud spoke about the need for cooperation to improve security in the Horn of Africa region and enhance trade and economic collaboration.
We need to join hands with the rest of the world on security, and in particular with the Horn of Africa countries, which are today faced with security challenges emanating from terrorist groups like Al-Shabaab and ISIS. As such, it is imperative for us to unite and work together in order to defend ourselves against those enemies, in order to save our people against them.
The worsening drought in Somalia was also highlighted. President Mohamud appealed to all Somalis and the international community to work together to help the millions of affected Somalis.
The East and Horn of Africa is facing a severe drought that is threatening the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, and Somalia is vulnerable to that drought. And there are fears already that some areas might face famine.
Earlier this week, UN humanitarian agencies warned that a historic fourth consecutive failed rainy season in Somalia, along with skyrocketing prices and an underfunded humanitarian response, have resulted in a 160% increase in the number of people facing catastrophic levels of food insecurity, starvation, and disease around the country. They went on to say that with no end in sight for the devastating drought affecting the country, the risk of famine looms larger than ever, and an urgent increase in support from the international community is essential to avert famine.
And that's News Round for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu.